Hi friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Web Learnex. This is Virendra Kumar Singh. Today I am going to explain how to create the Crud operation using up Springboot and MySQL. So let's get started. Let me open my Eclipse. In this demonstration I am going to show you how to create the connection between MySQL and Springboot and perform some basic operations like insert, delete, update, find by ID and find by all these things. But here I have created two kinds of REST API. One is the REST API which is I will test with the Postman, and second I have created the UI also, so we can directly uh, insert, delete, update or find, delete to our CRUD application using of on UI. So let me show you what dependency I have added. So this is the Spring Boot web starter. This is for the Spring Boot project configuration. I added one dependency, Spring Boot starter data JPA. This is related for the data because I am using the JPA application with the MySQL. So this uh, dependency required, and I'm going to connect the MySQL database. So this is the MySQL connector related dependency, and this is the continue development. So if you are using a development environment, then if it will provide the help to not restart your project each and every time. It's automatically compile and rebuild in development mode only. So I'm going to use some logs. So I'm using this slf4j log, and uh, as I said that I'm going to show the operation with the UI also. So for the UI purpose I added the theme leaf, and here one more thing, I'm using some Swagger for the documentation purpose, because Swagger provide a facility how to create the auto document, means whatever the REST API, what request we need to pass in that REST API, and what response you will get from that REST API, that documentation automatically created by Swagger. So I'm going to use the Swagger version 2, and also I'm using the Swagger UI, so we can directly can see what request and what response uh, we are created in REST API. And here I'm using the one Google JSON, because in this project I will pass some data from the UI, and uh, I will create sorry, not I will parse this data in entity. So this is help to convert form data to entity data. So all this is my dependency I have added in this project. So let's discuss about the project architecture. So this is my project architecture. I have created one config folder, one controller, one exception handler for the handling the exception, model related from the all beans, repository basically used for create the connection between my DAO layer to a database, and service basically used to create the connection between repository and presentation layer, and utils. So my all common operations like date and time formatting, some response beans creation, and some constant if you add some constant fields. So these kinds of things I did here. So let me open one by one and explain what is it. So first I have used the config Swagger configuration, because I'm going to do the auto configuration documentation. So I have created one Swagger configuration class, and in this class I am going to create the Swagger configuration. So for Swagger configuration, first I have used the @config because I'm going to uh, up this read this class when the application uh, going to up, and I have added the one enabled Swagger 2. This dependency enables the Swagger, and I have configured the my Swagger. So we need to for the configuration we need to uh, put the controller path where the where it is uh, controller in my project. So in my project I have my controller is com, project folder name, subfolder name, then controller name. So whatever the controller I have added inside of whatever the classes I have added inside the of controller, it will automatically pick classes, and on the basis of annotation it will automatically create the documentation of all that controller. Now let's open my controller. So in controller I have created two kinds of controller. One is the web controller and two is the REST controller. So in REST controller, let me show user first. So I have created one user REST controller. In user REST controller, my first request mapping is user. Then I have created different types of endpoint like save. In this method I am going to pass the user information to save the database, and find all and login. So this is the basic Crud operation with the save user controller. Let me show the employee controller. So in employee controller I have created the save employee, find all employee, find by ID, and find by name and address, and this is the find by delete, not ID, find by ID. So delete by ID, and this is the find by ID. So all this is the basic endpoint which is I'm going to demonstrate you. So this is the my employee controller. Same thing I did with the web, but the difference is in web controller I have return type is string. If you observe, I have created same thing, but all the return type is string type, not response body. Let me show you again. If you observe here response entity is beans, response beans, because I have created the custom beans for the res response purpose of my REST API. So in web controller we are not going to respond as the response entity, because it will pick the my HTML pages. So it will return the string types of data. So this is the my web controller. I will run and debug each and every controller. So this is the my REST controller. Let me close all this. Next is exception handler. I have created one global exception handler. This is the my global exception handler, and here I have used the control advice annotation, which is help to automatically create the all validation and manage the all kinds of exception in this code. And in global exception handler I have used the custom error beans. If you observe here, so I'm not going to put my response in any map like here. I'm going to put the my all error message and all information in a custom beans, and I'm going to responding that beans. So for this purpose I have used the custom response custom error response class, and I have passed the some attribute like date and time, status, error message, path, which API or endpoint getting error, and object means what is the error. So this is, and here I create the two types of exception classes, my custom exception classes. So I have MSC object shape means this exception class basically used for the shape purpose, and here I have create one constructor. It's a parameterized constructor. So in this constructor I will pass the whatever the message, whatever the error message, and one object means whatever the error, why error is occurred. So like print stack trace and all these things I will pass in here. And one is the MSC exception. In MSC exception I have created the same thing, and nothing much. So this is my exception, and I have created one model. In this model I have divided, I have created two. One is the entity, second is the form. Form is responsible to input the data in form format, and entity I have created the MySQL entity. Let me show the entity. So in entity I'm going to create the one table with the entity name, and one is the ID. ID is auto generated and auto incremented, and ID would not be updatable and run a nullable value. And I have created one name column. Here I am using the bin validation also, so you can observe here the please provide a name. So I have created the bin validation also. So next is address column. Also here I added the bin validation. And date of birth. Date of birth is my date format. So next is organization name, and then department, then entry date and environment. And one more thing, here I have used the one test field, and I have used the transient, means that this field I do not want to add in my database table. So that's why I have used the here at the transient and annotation. So this is the my, and just create the getter setter. So all this is the my entity of employee entity. So I have used the Hibernate JPA. So this is the all annotation of the Hibernate JPA. Same thing I did the user with the user. So nothing is new here. Only I did not create the any validations, bin validations. So this is the plain. So it will, I have not here, if you observe here, entity name is emp, means it will create the table with use a name of emp, but here I did not added the any name and kinds of things. Then by default it will create the table using of username only, and all these things is similar to last one. And form entity, whatever the employee data, employee entity, same thing I have replicate here in form view, but the difference only I'm not annotated any Hibernate annotation, because it will not, enter the record in DB. It will help only to mapping the form UI form to the my controller. After that I will pass this data in user sorry, not employee beans. So this is the my form, and later I will show you how to pass the form to entity. So this is the my model, and in repository I have created two kinds of repository. One is the employee repository. So in employee repository I have used the @repository annotation. It is the stereotype annotation. So and extend I have used the Crud repository, which is provided by JPA, and I have passed here my entity name, and Here long is the serialization type. So this is the my serialization type, long types. And I have create one custom query, means find by name and address. So this is my custom query. In later video I will explain how to create the multiple custom query and how to create the swagger and all things, whatever I have used in this project. So let me open the user repository. In user repository I'm using the same thing with the user entity. So this is the my user. So here I want to find with the find by name and password. So this is the similar with the employee repository. So this is the my repository. Let me open the service now. In service I have created the one interface. In interface I have created the employee service interface. In this employee service interface I have created the all, save, get all, delete by id, find by name and address, and find by id. All this is the my declaration of method, and all the response of all method is the response entity, response beans. And I have create employee service IMPL class. This is implementation of employee interface. So here use the service annotation. This is also stereotype sub annotation, and I have used the logger, and I'm using the @value annotation. This is basically used for pick the data from the property file. I will show you what I have configured in property file. And here I have auto wired with the my employee repository. Using up this employee repository I have passed the all CRUD operation. So this is the my CRUD save CRUD operation. So I have created the logger. I put the some constant value here, date and time. Then whatever the employee is coming I have passed in DB. So this is the my save method. This is the get all method. So it is pulling the data from the database employee repository inf dot find all, and whatever the data is coming I am responding in this response. And next one is delete by id. So in delete by id I have passed the id and find the data in db first, and it return type is optional. So I have used the is present method of optional. If data is present then it will get the data, get the data and delete. So this is the my delete operation. And here find by name and find by name and address. So I have passed the custom query find by name and address here. Now last is find by id. So this is the my method find by id. I have passed the id here. It will respond the optional types of data. So I have checked here. If data is present then I filter the data in object variable and pass in my response. If it is not there then I have respond here one custom error, means not a custom error, it's a custom message. So data is not find and all. So this is the my all operation of my service IMPL. So this is the my interface and this is the MPL. Same thing I did with the user service INF. So in user service INF I have created the simple save, find by get all, and find by ID and password. And the implementation of this I did in this class. So same thing whatever I have shown you in employee service IMPL, same thing I did here. So this is the my service, and I have created one util class. In util class I have create the some constant, means the purpose of create the constant to in any live project how to use the constant variable or constant kinds of things. So this is the my constant fields. and I have created one util date and time util class, and all the date and times related, like whatever the current date, whatever the current time, if we want to create any date differences, so all the date and times related method I will put in this. So I have created only one method, get current date and time. So and this is the mapper. As I said that we have used the form view to get the data from the form, and we do not directly pass this form data to my entity. So I have used the Google JSON converter, so it will automatically pick the data from form view and it will convert in JSON entity. And after that, using up this JSON entity, I have convert the entity. So this is the converter I did in my code. And last is response bin. So in this response bin, I have created the my response. So in this I have what is the status of response, like success 200 or 400 or 405 or 401 according to my operation. And I have created one constructor here with the some certain parameter, and I have created one other constructor, means as for business requirement I have created the constructor. Accordingly I will pass the value. And let me show the resources. So first let me show the application.property. So in application.property I have created the MySQL database connection, and here I use the DDL auto, means it will automatically create or update my table if it is not there. And I have used the Spring database source URL. So this is the my database URL, and my database name is MSC. My username is root and password is root of my local machine. And this is the MySQL driver name. This is the driver, and this is the dialect. It's a very important things for the Hibernate. Basically, it is responsible to convert the whatever the your database connection accordingly. It's create the query. Like I'm using the MySQL, then it will create the MySQL query. If you use the Oracle, then it will create the Oracle query. So according to database, it will create the query. And this is here. Here I use the Spring JPA. So SQL means it will show the whatever the query we are running, it will show on the console. And I have used the some log label also. So my log label is debug and trace, and I'm going to run this application on 8090 ports. So I have used here, and my environment is I'm going to run this local is the test environment. So I have used the test, and I have used my log. So I the debug and error log I want to show in my log console, and I have created the one separated log file also. So this is the my log file path, and a log pattern is whatever the date and time pattern. So file pattern is the file name with the date and time, and log pattern is the whatever date time and my log label. So this is the my configuration. So here I make the some comments. So later I will deploy this code on Docker with the MySQL Docker. So I will explain these things. So this is the all configuration of my property file, and I have created two HTML file also. So one is the demo. This is the my landing page when application will run. So this is the landing page, and this is the my main page, welcome.html. So in welcome.html I have created one UI. So this is the my UI. I will explain these things later, because first I am going to explain first REST API functionality with the CRUD application. Once its REST API is completed, then I will explain with the UI. So this is the my UI. I have used the here theme leaves. So I will explain these things in later. So thanks to watching my channel. Please subscribe and share with the friends. And all rest things I will explain in next video. Thanks and bye.